And welcome to another edition of the True Patriot Outfitters podcast. Good evening, folks. Before we get rolling too far here, I just want to make sure and remind you, give us a like, give us a follow on the social medias. That is a huge, huge supporter. Get your family, get your friends out there to do the same thing, and mash that subscribe button at YouTube. I can't tell you or express just how big of a help that is to us to help raise more awareness to the platform and keep folks informed about our mission out there with TPO, Romans, the whole shebang, man. Tonight we have a very cool episode here. This episode is going to be brought to you by a couple of our one very long-term sponsor that I'm proud to say is going to be with us for 23 again, and that is All Terrain Tackle and Blackfish Gear. This episode is brought to you by those guys. Go check them out when you get a chance. And then Amped Outdoors, my new company that we're with here. We worked with them last year. Now we're with them this year again. Amped has joined on board to help support our mission out there in lithium batteries you can get that don't break the bank. Without further ado, after we've now paid the bills here, our guest tonight is the man in charge of the Heartland Kayak Anglers, Mr. James Leggett. James, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Gene. Thanks for having me, man.
You bet, man. Thank you for joining us here on our little cast that's slowly growing up, slowly but surely. So yeah, man, you are the crazy dude and the brains behind the Heartland Kayak Anglers. Talk to me a little bit about. We'll start with that, and then I'll backtrack and figure out more about you. But Heartland Kayak Anglers, what does that constitute? The Heartland is kind of a big joint.
Yeah, it is for sure. And by the way, the brains behind is kind of a big term. I don't know about that, but
I like setting those expectations up there, man.
Yeah, right. It's Heartland Kayak Anglers is myself and Rick Valadez.
Nice.
Another guy that I kind of met through kayak fishing back in 2018. We were both kind of new to the scene, and we just decided that, hey, let's go do our own thing. So a couple of years ago, we rebranded this year as Heartland Kayak Anglers, and we're maybe a little bit different than some of the state series in that we're not contained by state lines, right?
Right.
So we're based in Omaha. We run a league night in Omaha, but we're also fishing Iowa, and we're fishing Kansas, and we're fishing Missouri, and Nebraska. So we're kind of going all over, try to hit the best waters that we can, keep it close enough to home. Right. That we know not everyone can travel 8 hours for a tournament.
I didn't hear Colorado in there, dog. Is that? It's all right. It's all right. We get it.
We've been out to Colorado to fish a couple of their tournaments. They run such a good show out there, and you know this, bass fishing in Colorado, it's hard to get good water down there, right?
It is, dude. Yeah.
So you don't need a club from Nebraska coming and stealing permit time from you guys for tournaments. So
yeah, we're blessed in the state to have two phenomenal clubs. The big one is the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. The newer kid on the block that is affiliated with Bass is the Colorado Kayak Bassmasters. You know, we got those two run by great people, great members in all of them. And you're right, dude. Our resources are they're kind of slim out here, you know, and there really is some good water. But man, you got to share that with a lot of people and a lot of rec boaters. So you really got to get your windows in about when it's a good time to be out there for us.
Oops, sorry.
That's all right.
We came out 2 years ago. Rick and I came out and fished a tournament up at Horsetooth.
Nice.
And I grew up in Fort Collins, so kind of my home waters.
Right.
But I had never fished a kayak tournament there. I had never fished out of a kayak on Horsetooth. And I want to say it was June or July or something like that. and I was amazed. I fished off from that north ramp.
Yep. And
was fishing. There's that wall that runs just north-south down along Horsetooth.
Yeah.
And, I'm 10 feet from this wall, drop shotting, and there's paddleboarders coming in between me and the wall. And I'm like, what? Meanwhile, you got the wake boat who doesn't even care that you're there. So
that sounds like July.
yeah, great experience, man. I want to go do it again. My buddy Rick ended up taking third in that tournament.
Good
had
stuff.
Never caught a smallmouth until that tournament. My buddy hadn't, and he took third. So
good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they're really. I mean, the fishing here, when you understand Colorado fishing, Yeah, there are, there's a decent amount, a decent plentiful amount of species, to go hunt and to, basically engage. But it is tough, and like you said, it's not so much the fishing that challenges you the most here in Colorado. It's everything else, that you got to work with.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'll tell you, for a guy who I cut my competitive teeth up north in the natural lakes of Minnesota. I'm a transplant native of Colorado, 20 some odd years, but I didn't get serious about bass fishing until I got to Minnesota. I was just kind of a recreational angler for the most part, just enjoyed it. And then I got serious about hunting just bass as a species. And so, yeah, I this last season for me, learning, how all my baits and everything, the line size is getting shut down and bait size getting shut down. I tell this to the people. So I go to Pickwick. I'm staying in an Airbnb with a couple of the guys that fish the national bass scene, right? Josh Deal's sitting there. He comes over, and Josh is a mountain of a human, right? He's like 6'7", 300 pounds. This is a big dude. Good buddy of mine. And he looks over my shoulder, and he's looking at my gear as I'm fiddling around on my trailer there. And he's like, "Is that really the size of the tackle you fish with out there?" Because he's from Georgia, man. He's looking at my stuff like it's like, what is this? What is that tiny little thing? You're like, that's my jig. It's not the size of the jig that matters, Josh.
Right.
So yeah, that was the Colorado game has changed quite a bit on the forage.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. So you guys cover you've got, that the flyover states thing, kind of in your region there that you guys go after, which is awesome. Awesome stuff. I of all people can appreciate that's what draws me to the All-American, kayak series basically so much is because of all the places they choose to go that nobody else wants to.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
I've known Josh Booth for quite a few years. I met him in 2018 when I started this, and he's just such a good, genuine dude, man.
Isn't he, man?
I love fishing his events. I love fishing with him. He's just a great guy to hang out with. So when we started thinking about Heartland Kayak Series and what we wanted that to look like, we started thinking about what he had done with Moyak.
Yep.
And so we've kind of modeled after that. We do some of the same things that he used to do in Moyak. Of course, Moyak's so big right now, these kind of had to change things a little bit. But
dude, they actually average higher numbers in Moyak than we do in the All-American. I mean, the All-American goes nationally from like Michigan to Texas.
Yeah.
Moyak stays basically right down there, and they're putting 80, 90. I mean, they're averaging more guys than all the other pro series, if you will, except Hobie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's nuts.
Talk about some hammers in Missouri. Holy cow. Oh, my gosh. There are some good anglers out there. So,
yes, sir.
If you love competition, you want to fish with the best, right?
Yeah.
So we like to go down there to Missouri and fish with those guys, fish with All-American guys. And
Heck yeah.
It's been a great experience, not only as an angler, but also as a tournament director and how things should be done. So Josh has kind of been I always look to him for advice.
I got real lucky, man, that my first year in, the first competition that I got in last year in a kayak, my first time in competition waters in a kayak was at the Truman Open.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I go jump down on the Truman I had been in the Unlimited because I had taken it around here, when as soon as the ice was off, and some cases there was still ice, but I could still, motor around. I was okay. But yeah, dude, that was a heck of a, trial by fire, but I got real lucky, man, that the first big series that I got in was the All-American run so tightly. It makes sense though. Josh he's an angler, man. He's a kayak angler. He gets it. He knows what you and I are up against. You're in the same boat. That's what's going to, be successful for you directing that stuff. Is that you know what everybody's looking at out there.
Well, I think more than just being an angler, like Josh just understands people, right? Like he understands that, as I understand, that you're bringing a group of guys together to competitive fish, and not everybody's going to win. Chances are, in fact, you're probably going to have 4 or 5 guys in the club who are going to dominate that, right? And what we kind of picked up from Josh along the way is even when we'd go to these MOYAC events, these All-American events, he always made you feel like, like, gosh, we're so glad to have you. Thank you. You're somebody. And it wasn't just about the winners. It was about all the guys.
Right.
And that's what kind of drives us in Heartland Kayak Anglers.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's so you're 100% correct. When I could barely spell kayak last year, and I started pinging questions off of Josh online about this and this. I originally, the first kayak, if you call it a kayak, that I ever picked up was a Blue Sky Boatworks 360, and I still have it. It's not the angler version, so it doesn't have the pedal drive. It's the pro version, so it has the mounting for a motor, which I now have on it as well. But that was kind of my thought. I was like, you know what? My whole desire was get as close to a bass boat as I could, man. And that thing is 4 foot wide. It's 48 inches. Looks like a catamaran. I took my chunky booty out on one side of the pontoons, and I'm standing out going, holy crap, this thing isn't going to move. This is as close to a boat as I can get. I can pitch and flip and cruise. And then I tried to take it to the water a few times. I was like, my God, that thing's heavy.
Yeah. Great concept, but man, there's a drawback, right?
You got to trailer launch that thing. I mean, once you're on the water, I could see that it would be awesome. But the other piece that I will say about it is it doesn't like weight. Man, you really got to watch your weight distribution, or you'll swamp that thing super, super fast. Really? But it is cool just to kind of putz around with this or that. But yeah, man, that was I was bouncing questions off of Josh a ton through that, and he was just like you said, man. He was so helpful, explaining things to me so I could understand, because there's a lot of concepts in the kayak game about that not every event counts. You can cull tournaments. I'm like, what is this? I come from the MLF land and FLW land where 5 tournaments, by God, you're fishing all 5.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that was super cool. I just found out too what was phenomenal. Find out he's a retired Marine.
Yep.
I mean, that's phenomenal. Just lined up perfect for us, over here. I'm like, yeah, we chose right.
Yeah.
Not for nothing though, not taken away. Those Nebraska dudes, man, I witnessed firsthand. One of the guys from the Sticks picked off our Lewis and Clark. I made a run at him there. I was a quarter inch out of second place and made third. And he was, if I could have called that last 15 incher that I had, man, I would have had a shot at him. But Childress, I think is his last name. Childers.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
And you're Nebraska guys. You guys are no joke either.
So yeah, we've definitely got some hammers in this state.
Yeah,
for sure. Chris Longshore.
Yes.
Tyler Alexander, Colt Volker, who runs the Sticks. All excellent anglers, man.
Yep.
And it's water in Nebraska is weird. Like,
is it?
Yeah. We have to travel probably at least 3 hours to find a lake over 600 acres that's decent for bass fishing.
Wow. Gotcha.
Right? So, and that's kind of why we decided, like, okay, let's go fish something else. We can go over to Iowa, 2.5 hours. I can be on Green Valley or 3 Mile or 12 Mile, one of those lakes.
Sure.
Okoboji's 4 hours away, which is fantastic. So,
dude, I can't wait for that event. That's going to be just lights out this year.
Yeah. Are you fishing it with All American?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're running our championship up there in September.
Good stuff.
Which is an open, so you don't have to be a member. You don't have to qualify for it. It's open to everybody. So I think it's like September 17th, 18th. We have a 2-day championship up there, so it's going to be just fantastic. Dude,
that's going to be tough. I know our September, on the schedule is pretty jammed up between All American and CKB. Things are getting pretty jammed up there. But if not, I will absolutely, because the things I've heard about that place, I cannot wait. That one actually in the All American, I think we're going to have 14 or 15 is going to be the minimum size requirement before you can even record it. So. Yeah. I'm excited about that. That's going to be a ton of fun. That'll separate the field a little bit, I think, and really change your strategy.
Big smallmouth, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So one of the pieces here with the Heartland Kayak Anglers that I was looking through the website and so forth, like you said, you've mentioned this, is that you guys travel all around here. When does your season, like this year here for 2023, what's the first stop? Where are you guys going?
Yeah, so our very first stop is May 6th, right?
Okay.
And we do an Omaha Roadrunner every year. We like to put it at the beginning of the year, just because it's kind of our chance to invite those new anglers in.
Oh, okay.
Right, from the Omaha, Lincoln, Council Bluffs area that
Good stuff.
They don't have to travel a long ways. They can come, meet some guys, and then just kind of figure out what it's all about.
Okay.
Right? So May 6th, then May 20th, we're at Elwood. Elwood Reservoir is middle of the state. Fantastic lake, smallmouth, largemouth. Some huge walleye in that lake for sure.
Nice.
Not that that's what we're chasing, but
Sure.
you know, if you're fishing a bass tournament and you hook into a 26, 27-inch walleye,
Yeah.
that's still a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, if you're Ned rig fishing out there, chances are you're going to find a walleye, I guarantee.
Yeah, right. So, and then June 10th, I don't know if you've ever been to Wilson down in Kansas.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I love that lake. So last year at Wilson, and we co-hosted with All American down there last year.
I was at that event. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yep. So I went into that weekend with my personal best smallie was 17 and a half.
Wow.
I broke it 3 times that weekend. I ended up leaving with a 20 and a half smallmouth.
Wow.
Which was just incredible.
That was a schooling for me. I was still learning a lot of things, and I left there actually feeling pretty good. The results didn't look great on the score, but there were so many other things it was difficult to try to explain to folks that no, you don't understand. I took a lot from this tournament, a lot of good that I learned from this, because the very first night I got there, I don't know if you were there the Wednesday before the tournament. Yes, I got there Wednesday. Took me 2 hours to deploy my camp. I got my camp all set up just so that a microburst little storm could come through, rip my pop-up down, jab metal through my tent, through my freaking air mattress, soak all my contents, and help me stay awake the rest of the night in the cab of my pickup truck, because I was on one of those campsites that was kind of up elevated on the bluffs.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, I'm thinking, dude, this is Kansas, I guess. Okay. And so I clean up camp the best I can the next morning, and I'm like, nah, we're not doing this, dude. I'm not going to deal with this. So I ran 25 minutes or whatever down the road, got a hotel room. It's like, I'm leaving my trailer at the campsite because I've already got it for the next few days. So I'll just leave. It's safer there. So I left my trailer there, and yeah, we just put the yak in the back of the truck and say, here we go. We're going to get her done from here on out. And so, we had so much adversity that we had to get through. In day one, had I boated the fish that I had hooked into and not been, stupid about certain aspects of my gear, I would have been sitting pretty well. I'm confident in that. And then day two, we had a much better day, come together, but by then it was just too late. And so still took a lot of good from Wilson, from that deal. I like that place. It's a really nice place.
Yeah, we're really excited to get back there. I didn't have a great tournament there. Day one All-American, I actually got pulled off the water for about 2.5 hours because I had to deal with game and parks out there and permits. And we all thought we were good all under one permit, and I don't know, it was crazy.
Oh, gee.
So I had to get that taken care of. And day two was really, really slow. And I spent the afternoon of day two fishing with this gal on our club. Her name's Jennifer Solberg.
Nice.
Keep your eye on her. She's absolutely fantastic. Has a lot of skills. She's going to go places. But
she any relation to Ron Solberg that's out here?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. But we went back to this little cove, and this cove was, we kind of went back maybe 150 yards, and at the back of the cove, there was a stand of trees and a drop-off. Not a huge drop-off, but a little drop-off, and the water there was super muddy, and we kept getting largemouth right on that dirty water, right?
Wow.
And then there was over on the east side of this cove, there was maybe two brush piles, not very big at all, and the smallmouth were just stacked up in there.
Wow.
In the last 30 minutes, I caught two smallmouth over 19 and lost two more that probably were just as big.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah. So I can't wait to get back there June 10th, which is going to be a fantastic time of year. Fishing should be really good.
Heck yeah.
I'm excited for that one.
So now, you guys at Heartland, you have your full schedule now. Are you an affiliate club for any of the big series like KBF, All-American? Are you an affiliate club for any of those?
So, of course, the All-American, right?
Yep.
We like that. I've been talking a little bit with Chad about doing the KBF thing. We did it the first year we were around. We took the second year off. We weren't real sure what we were going to do. We've been talking a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Still trying to figure that out, right?
So I'm going to ask you, and you just tell me no, because I get it. You're in a different position. You've got a whole club and people and future to think about there. Me, not so much. You know what I mean? Right. So I ask questions, and here's what I want to bounce this off a guy like you that's got experience. As I've been talking through circles, and I do interview a few people from a lot of from the highest ranks down to just where I'm at, starting and getting going.
Right.
And when you talk about the big series out there, the last name that keeps coming up, and sometimes it doesn't even get brought up, is KBF. Now, this strikes me kind of funny because for a newbie, isn't KBF kind of like the Godfather? I mean, that's who kind of started and gave us a platform, right?
Yeah.
And then Hobie and Bass were like, hey, that looks like a good idea.
Right.
But it almost seems like they were like, here, let me show you how to do this. And boom. And now for whatever reason, so I ask everybody I get a chance, what do you think? Because there's no question about KBF's popularity is dying. It's falling off. And is it accumulation of some things? I know Mr. Hoover can sometimes be polarizing to some people. Some people don't mind him. Some people like him. Some people think he's off-putting, whatever that is. What do you think? Do you have any ideas on what you think why KBF is kind of like fizzling a little bit in the recognition game?
Yeah. So, and I have strong opinions on a lot of things.
Roger that. Good.
This is kind of one of them, right? So I think there's a couple things. So I agree with you. I think Chad can be a strong personality sometimes, and people don't know how to take that, right?
Right.
When you're talking tournament fishing, most of us are dealing with local clubs. Guys like me, they're not dealing with guys like Chad who are running tournaments, but they also have this whole social media thing, and they have to create content, and they have followers, and that's a lot of pressure, right? So
he's a fast mover, man, and you gotta keep up with him. Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. A lot of people don't know how to take his personality. I think the other part of it is that I think Chad, there were some bad decisions made with KBF at one point.
Sure.
Right.
At the very least, unpopular.
Yeah, unpopular.
At the very least.
I don't necessarily know that means that he was running a bad series. Or,
right.
I think, just like for me, with Heartland Kayak Anglers, there's a learning curve, right? There's a lot to learn, and sure. Some mistakes were made, and when you have the personality that Chad has, and then you have the people who absolutely don't like Chad,
right,
and they have a social media platform that kind of drives that dislike. So I think it's a little bit of everything,
right. Accumulation of a lot of different things coming together.
Yeah, I like to think that Chad did a lot of traveling this last summer. He stopped in Nebraska. He fished a league night with us. We've had some great talks. I think that he realizes where mistakes were made. He also realizes where his series sets. And I think he's going to make some changes to make things a little bit different. I think he wants to kind of get back down to the grassroots of kayak fishing.
Yep.
Right. He's still going to have the championships, and he's still going to have this program and that program. But he's also talking about things like, just big get-togethers, big rendezvous where everybody gets together and fishes. And I think that's an important thing in this, right?
Yeah.
Because when I started, I wasn't going to go win. I knew that, right? I just wanted to go hang out with the guys and be part of something.
Right.
And I think what Chad kind of got back to this last summer was that, we kind of need to get back to that. If he wants to keep KBF, turn it around and get it growing again, I think that's where it's going to be for him.
And not for nothing, he's doing some things I think that are very and I'm not judging him. I'm just looking at this from a business aspect, as I do have experience in that area. Bass has a household name. Okay, even people that don't know our sports at all, they recognize that blue logo. They know what that fish looks like, BASS. They see that. Hobie has the attention because of just who Hobie is and the size of them, and the fact that AJ runs a phenomenal series. I wish personally they'd open up to the rest of the known universe and allow motors in there, because then a lot of us could actually partake in this thing, as opposed to it being a Hobie boat owners tournament. That's what it feels like. But at any rate, the thing about the KBF is that when I mention KBF, like in the non-endemic game, if anybody understands that if you're going to try to make a run at this, or you want to try to go further, we can't all eat like G-Man said at the National Professional Anglers Association that was just a couple weeks ago. You got 150 puppies trying to eat out of this same little bowl of puppy food.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of them little puppies aren't going to get some food. You need to get out of that pen and get in the other pen where that bowl's bigger, and that is the non-endemic side of things.
Right.
When the KBF can start getting that non-endemic side locked up, then we start to have a more recognizable name. And I think the other thing they need to learn from the MLF, what the MLF could teach them, is that less complicated the better, man.
Yeah.
Don't make it, you got to fish that trail and this trail, and then those two trails combined will equal this trail. And it's like, no. Simplify matters.
And that's just it with KBF. And I haven't followed it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was just learning this game, it was all so complicated.
Yeah.
It was like, how do you know what's what? And, I just want to go fish for money. That's all I want to do,
Yeah, and I think there's much to be said for that. While maybe it is a good idea, maybe it is a cool format, you need to remember what's going to be the draw, because you still got that business to run. But I hope for all of our sakes that the KBF, Bass, Hobie, everybody keeps working together, coming together, because together our sport gets stronger. There's more avenues for folks to get out there, and I love the diversity like that. That's super cool about the kayak side.
Well, not only the big national trails, the Hobie, the KBF, the Bass, and they all have their issues, by the way, right?
Sure.
They all have things that they need to get better at. But we've got some really good local clubs throughout the country, and it would be cool if somehow we could all fall under the same umbrella. You know what I'm saying? So there's a true championship.
Yep.
That's how I would like to see this thing.
Well, and this is what the segue that I was using this for was to, enter in the All-American, as it's, like you said, James has been running a tight ship out there. He is making the connections across the U.S. now, from Michigan all the way to Texas, and, north to La Crosse, down into, Louisiana. He's connecting with the right places in a lot of the same places you operate in. It's the flyover states, man.
Right.
I'm going to sound like a real big pig when I say this, but it's only the best way that I can associate with a bunch of primarily male anglers to get my point across, and that is this. It's real cool to go to Gunnersville and Chick and Harris Chain every year. That's like, Dayton taking the really pretty girl to the prom that has gone to the prom about 19 times with a bunch of other dudes that took her to the prom. Right. You know what I mean? It's like sooner or later, man, this place is getting worn. We don't have to do that in the kayak game.
Right.
And I think that's what I love about the Heartland Kayak Anglers. It's what I love about, of course, what drives me to the All-American is you guys are going to places that, are phenomenal fisheries, Most people, when we say Okoboji, if you're outside of the Midwest, nobody knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But dude, I'll put that place up, and I've never even fished there. But after hearing the stories from guys that I know that that are kind of judgmental on places, and these guys are like, "No, dude, you gotta go here."
Yeah.
I mean, it's fisheries like that or mined lands. We're going there this year. Mm-hmm. You can't get there with a boat. And wait till you see what goes across our scoreboard, on this. It is going to be just wild. When you see these things. These can hold 200 kayak events, man.
Yeah.
You could hold these massive events here. The question is, can we get a town to get around it? If they know what's coming, you darn tootin' will get around it. They just got to know that we can bring the show.
Yeah. So it's interesting to watch the All-American and kind of how it's growing and how it hasn't grown, right?
Yep.
Because if you think about the Wilson event last year, and Wilson, as great of a lake that it is, it's probably not great for a series like the All-American because there's not a town, a big-sized town close by to support that.
Yep.
So, I hope that just because Josh runs such a good thing, I hope that, and I think I see it with his schedule this year.
Yeah.
That they're going to really see some growth here. They picked some better lakes. Not that Wilson was a bad lake at all, but they've got that supporting demographic around them to help drive those tournaments.
Well, and Josh will be the first to tell you, Moyak sprung the All-American, right? That huge following of Moyak is what created the All-American. And then when everybody else saw that stuff, that's when it's like, hey, what do we got here? I know when I was snooping around, I'm like, well, these guys are doing exactly what I want to be doing, which is it's kind of regional, but it's still national.
Yeah.
And it's affordable. There's good payout, comparatively speaking. I'm going to go against some phenomenal hooks in there. So it's iron sharpens iron, man. That's the thing you're looking for. And that's what's helped me kind of spring into then, stepping up to the big stage at Bass, of course, and play with those guys too, so. And like I said, so I got to ask the question, man. Heartland Kayak, you guys allow motors?
Absolutely.
Yes, I knew I liked you, James.
Absolutely. Well, so here's the thing, though, right? A lot of the lakes around Omaha are full of grass.
Yeah.
Right? A motor is going to change the way that you fish that. Until last year, I was still paddling. Right? Now I'm in a pedal boat. And it's changed the way I fish because I don't get as thick into the slop. I'm not, throwing a jig into low pockets of water. I'm staying out on the perimeter because I hate pulling my drive and cleaning all the snot off of it. Right?
Yep.
And I think motors are kind of the same way. So it makes sense. It makes sense on big lakes when we go to Wilson, right? It's great to have a motor when you're on a lake like Wilson. It's going to be great to have a motor when you're on Okoboji. Our Omaha Roadrunner, where our biggest lake is a couple hundred acres, and there's a ton of grass. Yeah, I don't know how much of an advantage it gives you.
To be honest with you, I don't think advantage is the argument because like the Colorado Kayak Bassmasters, we allow motors because we follow Bass rules. Bass allows motors. Our first two guys in points for Angler of the Year, neither one of them have a motor.
Yeah.
Okay? So I don't think you can say advantage. Now, where does it come into play? For me personally, safety. When the wind starts ripping here in Colorado like it do, and you're out there trying to fight against 15, 20 mile an hour sustained and then 40 mile gust blowing at you, dude, you need to get off that lake. I love the fact that I jam on my Newport EPS for my new canoe, and I am a 60-pound thrust, and I'm getting my butt out of there.
So back when I was paddling, right, I approached my tournaments in a different way than I do now that I pedal. I would break a lake down into 100-acre sections, let's say. And I'm going to pick my 100 acres for that day, and I'm going to focus on that, and I'm going to stay on it, and I'm going to pick it apart.
Yep.
Now that I pedal, I'll fish that 100 acres for, a third of the day.
Yep.
If it's not there, I'm moving and looking for fish.
See,
and I don't know if that makes me a better angler. I kind of feel like I've lost some of my patience a little bit. Like I'm not working an area like I used to.
Yep.
And that's where that all comes into play. And I think when you have a motor, it's even worse, right? Because it's nothing for you to go from this side of the lake to that side of the lake.
See, and I'm a dude that loves to cover water, man. And so, from day one, my objective is get as hands-free as possible with the motor. And yes, I want to cover water. I know I can't exploit a lake pattern, right, like primary points at Table Rock or something. Right. No, I'm still going to be in 1-2 creek arms at the most for the day. But nobody's saying I can't paddle into some weedy areas.
Right.
I just use the motor to get there. I love the fact that what a motor does is make it less about what kind of a kayak, I don't know what the term is, but a kayak captain, it's less about that now and more about fishing.
Right.
I didn't get in a kayak competition to see who the better paddler is. Jody Queen said this best, man. I interviewed Jody last year, and he said it best to me. He says, it just so happens that what I love to do is good for my health. But right, that wasn't the number one reason why I got into it. And I'm like, Jody, I got you, brother. Heck yes. Same and same.
So since we're talking about pedals and paddles and motors and all that, I think we can really bring live scope into the same conversation, right?
Sure.
Because is live scope an advantage? I don't know. I think it helps you.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. But I've seen plenty of guys out on the lake spending half the day looking at their live scope and not fishing, And if you use it right, good for you.
Yep.
But I see a lot of guys, it's a distraction.
There's that California club that banned it from their deal. And I'm just going to go right on record. If any of them happen to be watching, ridiculous, guys. Stop it. Stop it. Oh, my God.
Right.
Blow the dust off your flasher then if you really, really, really want to take her back.
Right.
It's like, we also used to dig holes and use the restroom in it and bury it that way. We got plumbing now,
Right.
No, I'll say this personally. I, in 10 years on my boat, never had live scope and felt like I was getting my butt kicked by guys that had it. And maybe if I were an offshore guy, I'd appreciate it more. But I'm a skinny water dude, man. I'm gonna spend 5 minutes out there, and if I'm not seeing enough action, I'm gravitating back to what I consider to be shallow waters, and I'm hunting there again.
Right.
And that's why I like to cover water so much, is because I know I have to at that point. But no, live scope, it's a tool, man, and I'm going to use it in sparingly this year for certain applications. And if I don't feel like it's giving me that much advantage, I'm probably going to put mine up for sale, to be honest with you. Yeah, I've got it and I've used it. And the effectiveness, I watched 3 little walleye literally. As my little bait dot was dropping down, I watched a little walleye come up, grab it, swim away, and I'm like, hey, he's got my bait. And I hooked him and pulled him in there. But, like you said, dude, you get so caught down here, your neck's jammed up, and you're forgetting what's in front of you out there. So, yeah,
so,
it's with me, but.
Yeah, so I know, like, James Strawbridge, he lives and dies on that live scope, right? Because he's a big drop shotter, right?
Yep.
And that's his game. So what happens when he comes out to a lake that's got a max depth of 8 foot?
Yep.
It's a different ball game than drop shotting for smallies at 40 feet, 50 feet.
Well, and I think I know James well enough now too to say, yeah, you're going to see him put that thing away, and he'll go to work on a buzz bait, and he'll go to work. It's that versatility.
Yeah.
But the argument that if you have it, it just automatically is an advantage. Nah, dude, that's the only people complaining are the people that haven't used it yet.
Right.
Use it, and you'll understand that it's a skill set.
Yeah.
And if you want to fish like that, go for it.
Yeah.
No thanks. Not interested. No.
I don't have it. No, I don't. No. I don't even have side imaging.
I've got wow.
Just regular old down scan, and I just go out and do my thing.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, it's tools, right? It's tools that we use. Some people have real expensive fishing rods. I refuse to put anything over about 220 bucks in my boat because I'm going to drop it in the water. I promise you something's going to the bottom of one of the lakes I'm fishing this year. I'm sure of it.
Yep. Always happens. Always.
Exactly. So now, do you guys in the Heartland, do you guys have a championship at the end of the year?
Yeah. So we do our championship this year is Okoboji, right?
Sweet. That's right. That's right. Yeah, you told me that.
Which is an open. We do it as a 2-day event. We do. So for Angler of the Year for our series, it's the best out of 4 out of 6.
Okay.
Right? 4 out of 6 events, but the championship counts as 2 separate days.
Oh, okay.
So you're going to get points for day 1 that are going to stand separate than points for day 2, right? And we did it that way intentionally so that guys that can only make a few events, they still have a chance to get out there and compete and win the big
That's
events.
what I was going to ask you. So the championship counts as 2 events then?
Correct.
So then your guys only have to fish 2 other events to get throw their hat in the ring?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, it counts as 2 events, but there's only 1 payout for the championship, right?
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Well, yeah, that's good stuff. And you said no affiliations like with bass or anything. You're not a bass because you guys are multiple states, not one.
Yeah. So we had kind of talked about it. There is a bass club in Nebraska that
I saw that.
Yep. So they're doing their thing. We had talked about doing something in Iowa, and I believe Tyler Cole used to run the bass club in Iowa, and he's not doing it. And this year, just not a good year. We just got too much stuff going on, and
yeah.
I tend to fall into this trap of like, oh, hey, we need to do that, and I just need to take a step back from that and not do it. Right?
It's easy to get in over your head, isn't it, man?
For sure. And let me tell you, running a club doesn't pay worth a crap either.
No, it does not. That's what I always say about my nonprofit. It's like I tell people, no, it's fantastic for the Karma Bank. It just kind of really not so great for the real bank. I'll tell you that. You want to do what we do, you better be a part-time truck driver. You got to be okay with that, and you got to be okay with spending a lot of money because you're going to do them both.
Yeah.
So this year, your Nebraska bass, I was really hoping that season or that event there that we could pull some of the Colorado guys up there to help kind of bolster some of their numbers, and then they go and put their championship like the furthest possible distance away from us that they can, and during a time that's conflicting with other schedules that we have on our local events here. So it's like, yeah, unfortunately, no, we can't help you guys.
Yeah, so they were originally going to do that out on Red Willow, right? Which is western Nebraska, Great Lake.
We're going there a few times.
There were some conflicts there with different events going on. So now they've moved it, and I can't remember the date exactly, but it's at Wanahoo.
Yep.
Which is about 45 minutes outside of Omaha, about a 600-acre lake.
Nice.
It's got some big fish. We did a tournament there 2 years ago, and it took 94 1/4 to win it. So
wow.
There's definitely some big fish in there. Last year we fished a tournament. It was our first tournament of the year there last year, and the wind was blowing about 40 miles an hour, and I think there were like 10 people out of 42 that caught limit. So,
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah, it can be finicky, but there are some monsters in there for sure.
Good stuff. Well, awesome, man. So how long? Let's get back. We're going to kind of roundabout this thing here. Let's talk about you, man. So besides running all the fishing stuff, what is it that you do for a living?
Oh man, I feel like I run a club for a living.
Right.
But to pay the bills, my day job, I work for a company called American Solutions for Business.
Okay.
We're based out of Minnesota. I get a home office, which is awesome, and I'm in the print and promotional business. So
awesome.
I work with a lot of clubs. I worked with Kansas Kayak Anglers last year. I do all the stuff for Josh, both for Moyak and the All-American. Help IAC out on some stuff. So I do a lot of that. And then I also work with big corporate clients, also putting together marketing programs basically for them.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, and like I said before, we're gonna have to chat because I'll tell you basically who we use, because we've been doing a little. So the evolution of the True Patriot Outfitters. Last year we had an online tackle store. We were a dealer with Tackle HD, NACO Tungsten, Vicious Fishing. We were set up, with several that we could sell their products, and of course we did some apparel and such. This year with us, leaving the LLC world behind and now being a full-fledged nonprofit, we've gotten rid of all that. We no longer are selling any of that. We're not being a dealer for any of that. The only thing we are keeping is a few swag items from our source.
Right.
And we use that to kind of just generate some side funds, basically for our general funds that we use for operation.
Sure.
On that. So yeah, we've gone through quite the evolution there on our side, a little bit on that. But now I'm sitting on a ton of inventory that I got to do something with here.
Those things, the promotional items, they're so underrated as far as marketing, right? And even though you're a nonprofit, and even though we're running a small fishing club,
yep,
it's important that we market what we do. Right? You want people to know what True Patriot Outfitters Outdoors is all about, right? You want people to gravitate towards that.
Yep.
And you're doing it right? I mean, you got the podcast, which is a great way to promote it. But what's the other piece of that? And the swag certainly helps, right? Because if I have a True Patriot hat on and I'm out on the water and someone's like, hey, what's that all about? Now there's a story behind that, and I can share that story and help drive what you're doing, which has meaning, right? It's important to people. And so it's not just T-shirts and hats.
Sure.
I think we had some questions last year about how was money being spent on club swag? Right. Well, we have sponsors, right, that we have an obligation to.
Yep.
And there's some people out there that kind of feel like sponsors give us money to give to anglers. And I don't see it that way.
No.
Sponsors give us money to drive participation to our events, to drive their brand, right? We want to be out there talking about their brand. That's what that money is for. It's not for me to take $2,500 from this sponsor and hand it off to my angler of the year. It's not like that.
No.
It's all about just driving that brand, driving Shields, driving Vicious, driving whoever your sponsor is, putting their brand out there. It's a partnership. You're helping them get business. They're helping you get attention to your club. And there may be a little bit of money left over at the end where, you can put that towards trophies, angler of the year, all that sort of stuff.
Sure. That's one of the things that I will say, with the advent of social media, what was kind of staggering to me is how many, all of a sudden, marketing geniuses just started sprouting up everywhere. Everybody's pretty much sure they know how to market. In most cases, 98% of the folks that reference the word marketing are actually talking about advertising more than they're talking about marketing. They don't understand what marketing strategy actually and truly looks like. I do have a background in this. I have an educational background in this. And it's the one area I try to teach a lot of the new guys coming in, that you need to understand what, Amped Outdoors, they're with us because they believe in us, and we're on board with them because we believe in them. That relationship that we're working together, yes, my objective is to show you why I love Amped Outdoors and drive business their way, because as they succeed, I will succeed.
Right.
People forget that, man.
Right.
And the other piece is when they say the word branding so many times, they reference, like Coca-Cola, like Pepsi. Homie, stop. Stop right now, because you're set up to fail already.
Right.
Because if people even had the inkling about how many years and how many millions of dollars were spent on the Dairy Queen logo, McDonald's, do you think that happened over a 10-year period? Not even close.
Yeah.
It's synonymous now, brand the Nike swoosh, millions and millions of dollars. And most little companies like us, we're never going to get that. Right. What our goal was when we created this little badge here was to be familiar around the areas we drive. Right. They may not even know what it is, but when they see it, I've seen that before. Right. And I get that with my vehicle wrap. When I drive around, I literally pulled up to this one event. They wanted me to come in and talk about the TPO a little bit, and I pull my truck in there, and the owner's sitting there, and he's like, hey, I was behind you on I-25 the other day, because he saw the back of my truck, and it's like, It's working. That's the marketing
Right.
That's marketing dollars working. He didn't know who I was, didn't know what I did. He didn't piece it together when he heard I was coming, but the moment he saw me, and guess what? We had a common ground immediately. Hey, I was behind you. Hey, how's it going, man?
Right.
Relationship building,
Yeah.
and that's, yeah, it is a bigger topic, and there's reasons why people make 150 a year to do it right,
For sure. And it's on a different level here, right?
Yeah.
Like you're right. We're not going to be the Nike. We're not going to be the
No.
McDonald's. But we're still trying to accomplish the same thing on a smaller
Absolutely.
scale.
Absolutely.
Right?
Set your goal right in your little market and amongst your people, and then like you said, sooner or later people are like, "Hey, what's that all about? I've seen that before."
Right.
It's like, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff, man. So that's that works out well to be running a club and doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's great as long as
Yeah.
I keep my focus where it needs to be. Right. Like. And I'm not gonna lie, I've got an attention span about this big. So if I'm like working away and I'm working with one of my corporate clients and something kayak fishing comes up, I'm automatically diverted.
Dude, if I don't have a to-do list on one of the 3 monitors that I have in front of me right now, if I could turn this camera, you would see you're in front of me. And they're 27-inch monitors. I look like I'm flying a freaking space shuttle here, and they're all full with stuff right now. Yeah, and it's like, if I don't have a list in front of me, I don't go to bed till like 1 o'clock, because it's like, oh, I should probably do this. Oh, I could do this. I got you. And it's because we gravitate towards the fun stuff, right? And that is the kayak fishing, community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the last piece I want to talk about with is just really, this is the part that's close to home for us. I always try to round this around with anything that I do with the podcast is, recreational therapy. It's a real thing. There is documented cases on this now. Medical science backs it. It is real. We may not understand the total reasons why, but they've got a lot better information now. They took it out of alternative therapy and moved it into what's known as complementary therapy now. That's given it a lot of ground. It works for many people, for anybody. It can provide benefits for PTSD, anxiety, depression, no matter what walk of life you're from. We choose to focus it on the veteran first responder community, those that serve. We try to serve those that serve. For you personally, you and I were talking about this off air. For you personally, that relationship you have with kayak fishing, just talk a little bit about that. Just the outdoors and kayak fishing, what it means to you.
Yeah. So when I think about my earliest memories fishing, it was fishing with my dad. Right? Like down in Arkansas, down in Mississippi, Oklahoma, just all these great fishing trips. And as I got older, my dad and we butted heads just like a lot of young men and their dads do.
Well, you got smarter than him, of course.
But we always had fishing. Right? And we always had fishing. And so no matter what the complaint was about each other, we always had fishing, and we could always go back to that and be close to each other.
That's awesome.
And so that's what it is for me. It's about relationships, and how do we use this to serve a greater good? And I know that sounds a little bit hokey coming from a guy who runs a small club in Nebraska, but we have the power with a small club to do an awful lot of good.
Yeah, we do.
Right? And not just, and I don't mean just within our club. Obviously, we want to create a platform for our anglers to come in and they feel welcome and they feel like they're part of something. But we can also do things for the community. Last year, you and I talked about this a little bit. We did a fundraiser for all McDonald House charities. We did a Omaha citywide bass fishing tournament, boat, bank, kayak, all Omaha public water. If you wanted to fish a small park pond, you could do that. If you wanted to fish a river, you wanted to fish a lake, however you wanted to get on the water, go fish it. And we had a tournament.
That's awesome.
End of the day, we raised just short of $30,000.
Damn.
Right? So there's a couple things. And going into that, we didn't know what that would look like. Right? We didn't really, when we first met with Ronald McDonald House, we're like, I don't know, we'll raise $4,000 or $5,000, and kind of do our thing. But going into that, what I knew was, one, we could do good, which was going to help a nonprofit, right? Ronald McDonald House in this case. Two, we could use this as a tool to build our own community. Because I tell you what, if you take a bunch of men and women and you work on a project together, like a fundraiser, doing something good, your group is that much tighter.
Absolutely.
And so it was just a win-win for everybody, man. It was awesome. We're taking a year off this year. We're going to get back at it next year. But it's just a good experience. And it was a good experience to do something for them, but it was really good for our group. And we have just, I don't know, man. I think about you want to have good people in your group, right?
Yes, sir.
So you want to fish with the best anglers, but more than that, you want guys that have good character, right?
Yes.
Right? And what we find is those guys who don't have good character, they're going to find a way to weed themselves out. Yep. And we're okay with that. When we kind of started this, we're like, oh, let's get every angler we can to come fish with us. And we're going to have this huge series. It's not like that anymore.
That's
now
awesome.
It's like, let's get some guys who understand what we're all about, who want to work with us, not on just a great kayak series, but on doing good for something.
Doing something bigger.
We're blessed, man. We are so blessed to have the group of guys and women that we have in this club. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Couple points on that. First and foremost, thank you for all the work you're doing out there, because what you're doing is very much an echoing exactly of what we set out to do, as well as take our love for the sport and then find ways to really impact. It's not about the gambling for the money. It's not about the this or that. It's the love of fishing, and it's the love of actually joining our worlds together to impact. Start at home and let it go bigger. We are very blessed here in the state of Colorado to have the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. They do the very same thing. Every year they pick a nonprofit that they work with, as they're a nonprofit, and they take portions of memberships and sponsorship stuff, and they make a donation to that nonprofit, in the state that, is working around there. They were founded on that principle, and they've carried that forward now for the last, I want to say, if memory serves, I want to say it's about 10 years that they've been doing that. And each board that gets elected understands that's the torch they're carrying now, as they go forward. So that's a super, super cool thing. And once again, it's another kayak club,
right?
And that's one of the things that I will tout, because I've been in both. And I can tell you that while I'm proud of some of the other clubs and the work they do with kids, or the work they do with conservation efforts, I really do appreciate the way that the kayak community tends to absolutely be very community driven, to find ways to impact change back. The last point I wanted to make is when you said, you were talking about how many, one little piece that you're doing here, if we can impact a little bit in our community. One of the things that I've learned being around, the nonprofit veteran support service piece, one life. That's our goal, one life at a time. Yep. We're here to remind them how much we love them. We're here to remind them how important they are to our communities, how needed they are, and that they're not alone. And if we can, put them together with other folks that have walked there in their boots, you know what I mean? Then we've done our job as true patriots at that point, is that we're connecting them with others and getting them resources. And a lot of times, dude, that's just go fishing with them, take them out, show them what you love to do, teach them how to wacky rig, through this stuff. You catch anything from corner to, fence post to fence post of this great United States of America. You can catch something on a wacky rig, man. It's maybe something you might need a shot for too. That stuff will catch anything. And that's really the name of the game is we actually are thinning down the number of kayaks we have. We started off with 5, then we went down to 4. Now we're going to reduce down to 3 is what we're going to do, because the optimal number for us is taking a pair of folks out, be it a husband, wife, spouse unit, or just a pair of first responders or vets that have similar experiences, and keeping it smaller because we believe the impact is bigger. As we get bigger, we'll pick on more people, and then we can expand again. But we pulled the reins back on this, going, you know what? It's awesome that people want to support us like that and really make it so that we could be bigger. But we know where that healing comes from is when it's a little bit more drawn back, a little bit more personal. And so, we just means we got to do that many more trips. Oh, darn, you mean I got to go fishing more? All right.
Gene, I'd say that being said,
Yeah.
If you guys run into people who need someone to fish with out here, send them
Heck
our
yeah.
way, man. We'd be happy to spend time
Hell
on the
yeah.
water with them. So.
Dude, that's why I'm actually still embedded deeply, and my heart is still with the Romans Warrior Foundation, and that is because we provide what we call the Warrior Field Ops, which is camping, fishing, hiking across the country.
Right.
TPO operates in Colorado. That's what we do inside our borders. But Nebraska and these other places have phenomenal fishing out there. And as we get more embedded with a lot of those communities, you bet, brother, I will keep you guys in mind. I'll direct them right to you over there and say, hey, this is the group of guys you need, guys and gals you need to check in with. And who knows, then maybe I can sneak in one of those events with and let you guys beat up on me for a while. Make fun of the fat old Colorado guy running around out there in his blue new canoe. But with a motorbike, I'll tell you that. I'll be scooting across there with my fat booty. Well, listen, brother, I can't thank you enough for stopping by and chatting with us. I am looking forward to this coming season and getting a chance. I'm going to watch this schedule very closely and see if there isn't at least something we can jump in with you. We've got a pretty stacked schedule there, but I think there's still a couple of areas that we can keep open and still try to squeeze out there. And awesome stuff on all the work you guys are doing out there. Folks, make sure and get out and check these guys out at the Heartland Kayak Anglers. If you're anywhere in the Midwest out there and you're looking for a group to just kind of step outside just your normal waters that you might be fishing here, this is, if you want to get with good people that fish some awesome stuff, this is where to go. Heartland Kayak Anglers. Hit them up on Facebook. You'll find them out there. Do you guys have a YouTube yet, or?
Not yet.
Not yet?
We're working on it. So
Perfect.
We do a little podcasting ourselves throughout the season just to give a little love to our sponsors.
Sure.
So once we get that up and going for this year, you'll see some stuff out there.
Yeah. Let us know what we can do to help boost that as well, man. We'll highlight you. We'll collab with you and try to drive some traffic your way. You bet.
Awesome.
So awesome stuff. Folks, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Check out the Heartland Kayak Anglers. As always, James, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And folks, thank you for all the love and support you continue to show us here. We absolutely could not do what we're doing without you guys staying behind us and driving this whole thing forward. And like I said, the likes, the follows, all these things are so important to us. So please make sure and get that piece in there. As always, folks, tight lines and be safe.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Together.